I was flipping through early church records the other day, and honestly, those names hit me like a punch to the gut. You hear these names in church all the time. Peter, James, John, and they sound so gentle, almost like they're floating down from some holy light. But when you actually dig into the history, you realize they weren't the serene figures in stained glass windows. They were real people, flesh and blood, with scars. The parchment was eaten away by time, weathered like stone crumbling in the wind. The very first page described Matthew's end. Pierced by a spear, he died in a foreign land. Those words felt brutally hard, like Matthew himself was reaching across 2,000 years to remind us. The fate of the 12 apostles was never mythology. It was civilization's real breaking point. A lot of people wonder, if they knew the danger, why didn't they just run? Why didn't they go back to fishing, collecting taxes, living their ordinary, comfortable lives? Here's the thing, Rome back then wasn't just oppressive in some abstract history textbook way. It was an empire that crushed dissent with iron boots, worshipped the wrong god, that could get you branded a traitor to the state. Christians refused to worship Caesar as divine. They wouldn't participate in imperial rituals. So in Roman eyes, they weren't just religious oddballs, they were dangerous political radicals. Burning stakes, crucifixions, gladiatorial arenas, these weren't legends. These were real threats they faced every single day. And yet, the 12 apostles didn't run. They had no army, no money, no powerful connections. Just a bunch of regular guys, laborers, small-time merchants, fishermen. But these ordinary people carried the gospel to the ends of the earth. Yes, their fates were brutal, but that's not the point. The point is what their sacrifices say about the foundation of civilization itself. Take Peter, for example. Remember him? The impulsive fisherman who panicked and swung his sword wildly in the Garden of Gethsemane? The guy who, under pressure, denied Jesus 3 times? But after the resurrected Jesus appeared to him, something changed. Peter became a different man, like someone had lit a fire inside him that couldn't be put out. Years later, when the Romans sentenced him to death for preaching the gospel, he made just one request. Don't crucify me the way you crucified Jesus. Crucify me upside down. That wasn't theatrics. That was radical humility. He was telling the world, I know who I am, and I know who the Lord I follow my whole life really is. Now let's talk about John. He's the only apostle who died of old age. But don't think that means he got off easy. Legend says he was thrown into a cauldron of boiling oil and survived. Then they exiled him to Patmos, a barren, desolate island that felt like the edge of the universe. And there, in that isolation, he wrote the book of Revelation. John's story teaches us something crucial. Not all sacrifice involves bloodshed. Some sacrifices are long, lonely endurances, holding onto a light in the darkness when no one else can see it. And then there's Judas. His tragedy wasn't how he died. It was the moment his heart collapsed. He'd seen Jesus heal the sick, cast out demons, raise the dead. But he also watched his own heart get pierced by greed. Rome didn't kill Judas. His own despair swallowed him whole. Among the 12, his story is the harshest reminder. Once your heart gives way, even the greatest truth can't pull you back. The rest of the apostles met similar fates. James was beheaded. Thomas was speared to death in India. Bartholomew was flayed alive. Andrew hung on an X-shaped cross for days before he finally died. These accounts sound horrific. But the real question isn't how did they die? It's why were they willing to die this way? Viktor Frankl, the famous psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, taught us that when a person finds something more important than life itself, a cause to serve or a person to love, death no longer has power over them. It means, when a person finds something more important than life itself, death no longer has power over them. That's what happened to the 12 apostles. They didn't die for a religion. They died for the truth they had witnessed with their own eyes. We live in a different world now. There's no Roman Empire, but it's just as chaotic, just as noisy, just as anxiety-inducing. It's a world that makes it hard to believe in anything. But 2,000 years ago, a group of ordinary people used their lives to tell us, faith isn't about getting something. It's about becoming someone stronger. Why does civilization need to remember these tragedies? Not for sentimentality, not to guilt-trip anyone, but to remind ourselves, when a people forget their own suffering, they've already lost their roots. The story of the 12 apostles isn't just religious history. It's the spiritual history of all humanity. Where they fell is where civilization rose again. They lit up the darkness 2,000 years ago with their lives. And across 2 millennia, through screens and pages and stories, we can still feel that light. May that light keep shining. As the Gospel of John says, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The world might still be chaotic, but the light is still here. And all we have to do is keep walking toward it.